All right, so welcome to everyone who's joining us. We're going to be talking today about how to accelerate your intentional job search and create a career you love. And I'm going to do this in the framework of something I call the five forces of career acceleration. We'll get into why I call it that, but all of you, I hope, are going to get something out of this, no matter where you're at. We're going to find different ways to engage together. And I apologize if my voice isn't feeling great. I'm not probably at 100%. We've had a little bit of the crud sickness going around in our home the last few days. And so I'm probably not at 100%. So I apologize, but I'm trying to do my best and give you what I can here today. So I'm going to go ahead and start rolling here with the presentation. Can I just get thumbs up from anyone who can see the screen that I'm sharing here? Okay, Brian's got a thumbs up. Tyler's got a thumbs up. Good deal. So throughout our time together, I'd like to make sure that we can still engage, and I want to get some feedback from you. So I use a tool and strategy here in our calls that I call Quick Chat, and it's just a way for you to ask a question here, and then use the chat box to type in your answer, but don't press enter until I'm going to do like a 3, 2, 1 countdown. What it means is instead of being that lone person who answers and like, oh, we're just talking about you, everyone gets to bring in their answers all at the same time. And so it's kind of a fun way to do it. So all the responses are coming all in simultaneously. So the question we're starting from, I just want to know where you're at. Where are you at in the world? Sometimes I get people from outside of the US in these sessions, but usually from coast to coast and all over. So again, type in your answer, but don't press enter to submit it until we do a countdown. Go ahead and do that in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, I see UK, Austin, Texas, California, New Orleans, Washington State. Yeah, we got maybe not someone right on the East Coast, but we got UK. That's even cooler. So thanks, Alicia, for being here. And a little bit later in the day for you than most who are joining us. So we get started here, I want to start off with a story. I want you to meet Luis. Luis is someone who, when we first talked, he was in this place where he felt like he wasn't getting interview opportunities. His company was actually going through the process of downsizing, and he didn't know what he wanted to do next. He had kind of a window. He thought it was going to last at least another 12 months or so. So it wasn't imminent, but he was like, I don't want to wait for that. I want to get going and find something that I really want to do, but I don't know what it is that I really want to do. And so that was a big question mark for him. He felt like he didn't know how to present himself. His resume felt outdated. He's like, I don't even know what to focus on. He was like 15 years into his career as a senior engineer and engineering manager. He didn't know how to connect and network with people who could perhaps help him. But he knew that he had great skills, but he didn't know how to communicate that and set himself apart. Now, Luis and I worked together for a little while, and using the same principles that we're going to be talking about today, this is what he said on the other side. He sent me a message recently, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he ended up being really focused and specific in where he was headed, and applying to 7 different companies, got interviewed by 5 of them, and got offers from 3. Now, this is where I insert the, fine print, results not typical, all that fun stuff. But this was really cool for me to see this happen. So he chose one that felt like a great fit. And he was just so excited. So this was just a few months ago that this happened. So excited for him. And again, he applied the exact same principles we're going to be talking about today. Now, for anyone who is unaware or has not met me, I founded More Than Engineering with the approach to bring a concept of leadership, career development from an engineering and technical lens, from my background and experience in mechanical and software engineering, manufacturing, process improvement, and engineering leadership. I recently became a father of 4. We had our most recent addition to the family just a few months ago. He's not quite 3 months old. I like getting outside, doing hiking. I read a lot. And like many people around the world, I've gotten into pickleball the last couple of years. So maybe there's other pickleballers out there, but I also live in Washington State. It's now the official sport of Washington State. So that's kind of fun because it was invented here a few decades ago. But really what I'm all about now is helping engineers and technology professionals like you create careers and lives that they love. And so my promise as we go through our session today, I want you to have actions and adjustments that you need. I want this to be actionable. I don't want this just to be information that you take on. I want this to be like, oh, now I know what to do. I can change some things. I can do some things differently. And I want you to make sure that you're looking through that and experiencing this whole time together with what can I do on the other side of this? Not just kind of, oh, that was interesting, cool, thumbs up, way to go. Like, I want you to come away with specific takeaways today. And I'm going to teach you these 5 forces of career acceleration and how you can apply them immediately. But my invitation to you on the other side is you're here, you're giving me this time, you're giving yourself this time to really invest in yourself and your career. I want you to engage with our time, put the cell phone away, unless that's what you're using to tune in on. Close out all your other browser tabs and everything else, and actively participate, take notes, see what you discover, and again, identify those actions, okay? So hopefully we're ready to go here. I want you to take a quick reflective look. It's kind of a model I've created around identifying different stages of your career and how you can feel about it and different words you can use to describe here. I want you to consider, as you take a look at this, where is your career like right now? Level 1 through 5. The people who are kind of at that lower level, maybe they're in that unemployed stage. They feel overlooked either by their company they just got laid off from, or they are having a hard time getting a new opportunity. Some people are in that kind of level 2. I'm in a job, but it feels like I'm surviving and just kind of doing what I need to do. I'm not making much money. I'm not really enjoying myself, right? A lot of people I talk to are in kind of level 3 opportunistic. They're maybe paid well, but they feel disengaged, like, this isn't really aligned with where I want to go and what I care about, right? But these opportunities just came to me. I said yes to them, and that's fine, right? The real line shift happens between 3 and 4, where we can really get to be intentional about where we want to go, the things that are important to us, and it starts to be growth that's more purposeful, and then we find more satisfaction and everything. And then hopefully that leads us towards that top level of being impactful and kind of getting into what we believe our life's work is. And that can be beyond our career or other things, but a lot of times our career enables that, or sometimes it is directly connected to our careers. But how do we find that in terms of a bigger life impact and the things that we really care about, right? And impact beyond ourselves, which is why it's not just one smiley face, it's a lot of people there, because we're impacting other people, right? So I'm curious for you to, I'm curious to know for all of you, do another one of these quick chats, where do you find yourself in your career, which level? So all you need to do is type the level 1, 2, 3, or 5 in the chat. And again, don't press enter until I do the countdown, but I'm gonna go back here and let me know. So type that in the chat, give you just a few more seconds to look at that and then decide. And I'm curious what you put in there in 3, 2, 1, go. Number of 1s, 2s, 3s, 1, 4, which is excellent. And a lot of stuff going on here. Okay, so a lot of 1s, number of people who are unemployed, 2s and 3s, and but a good mix there. No one's made it to that level 5. I'd say that's still an aspiration for me, but we're working on it, and it's important to always be shooting towards that. So as we move forward, I really hope that where we're going and what we're going to be talking about is going to help you no matter what level you feel like you're at today, right? So we're going to be covering ways to get clear on the career path that you want to create, focusing towards that intentional and purposeful approach. We're going to be talking about career personal branding. How can you find ways to communicate and stand out so that you can get noticed for things that you're interested in? How do you connect with people in meaningful ways, build meaningful relationships, do strategic networking? Because a lot of times there's other people who can help us find new ways to achieve our goals. I'm going to talk about how you can position yourself appropriately as a solution to a problem instead of just someone who has some skills to bring to the table. How can you be a solution to the problem and think about how you could be a critical piece of success of others, right? And then I will be sharing an exclusive way that you can work with me if that's something that's interesting to any of you, so we can make progress even faster. But quick reality check, like there's some realities here. There's no magic bullet necessarily to just promise that you're going to have for any of you who are at level 1 and unemployed right now, I can't promise anyone that there's going to be some magic bullet or magic pill that you can just do this and you're going to have a job in just a couple of weeks or a month or something. I wish I had that magic, but I don't. I can't guarantee specific results, and these things it's just a lot of hard work. There's a lot of effort and there's a lot of emotional energy that goes into all this. And for any of you, I can't give you skills and work history that you wish you had. Like there's ways you'll need to work on that. But a lot of people who are seeking for help here, the people who I see not making the progress are the people who aren't willing to put in the work and the effort necessary to actually take the actions. But I don't think that's any of you, because all of you are here willing to invest this time. And so I'm going to dive in and give you these actions on these 5 forces. So hopefully you're ready. I'm going to give you as much as I can, this whole system. I want you to take notes, and we're going to dive into these 5 forces of career acceleration. So why do we call these 5 forces? I'm actually wearing my "May the Mass Times Acceleration Be With You" shirt today. I love the basic Newton's law, force equals mass times acceleration. So if we can increase force, we get more acceleration, we get more velocity. We're moving faster, but it's that force needs to increase that. And so that's why I think all of these things we're going to be talking about today are forces that can accelerate the process. That's why I share this. So number 1 is to get clarity. This is the first force we're going to talk about. So quick story here. If anyone's familiar with the old story and movie Alice in Wonderland, at one point, Alice is in kind of this magical land, Wonderland, and she's going through this dark forest, and she comes to a crossroads. And she comes to this kind of cunning character called the Cheshire Cat, and she's not sure which way to go. And so she asks the cat, "What road do I take?" To which the cat responds, "Well, where are you going?" Which Alice replies, "I don't know." And the cat cunningly replies, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there," right? I don't think the cat was really acting as a great mentor here, but the principle here is excellent. If you don't know where you're going, well, there's a bunch of things you could do, but we need to identify where we're going and what our purpose is and what our goals are, so that we can align our actions and our direction and where we head appropriately. So this process of getting career clarity, focusing on that clarity of where we're going in our careers, is extremely important, because I see this to be so true with engineers and technology professionals, where there are so many different directions you could take. You could move into different specialties in engineering and technology. You could move into management. You could move into kind of program project management. You can move into all sorts of different things, product stuff, all sorts of different stuff. But we need to, at any given time, focus on the one that feels right for us. And that doesn't mean that you can't change again in the future or make a shift or explore something new, but we need to be able to focus so we're not trying to shotgun our approach and do everything all at once, right? And some people see this as extremely difficult because there are so many skills that you have that you could fill a lot of different types of roles and responsibilities. But sometimes that is a hard thing. On the other side, it gets us in analysis paralysis. We get stuck trying to figure out what we want to do and where we want to go, but not actually taking action or doing anything of consequence. And so this process of getting career clarity is difficult, but it doesn't have to be quite as hard as we always make it. And I want to give you just one tool. There are a lot of different tools that I've got and that we could talk about. I want to give you one tool today that might be helpful. And it's called the 5 whys. I first learned the 5 whys actually in a completely different context when I was doing manufacturing process improvement, where we would use it to do root cause analysis. We would kind of look at, hey, what's the surface level issue? We'd ask, why is that happening? Why is that happening? Why is that happening? Keep going deeper and deeper and deeper to try and understand the root cause of the problem that we were trying to solve, right? But I found that it can be a very helpful tool to get clarity on what's really important to you and why, right? which can be an intrinsic motivator to help you push through towards your goals. It's an extremely simple tool, which I think are often the best. Sometimes the most simple tools are the best, but it's also extremely powerful. And all we need to do is simply do what it says and ask the question why 5 times. Okay, so I'm just going to use a very simple example of perhaps an income goal that someone might have. This particular number could be really high, or it could be low to some of you, depending on where you live and what your career is and where you're at in your career. It doesn't matter. So you can detach yourself from the actual number here and just think about, you know, if income is what you're looking for, if it's something else that's important to you. I'm just using this as a simple example, okay? So we're taking the goal that we're stating, or the thing that we think is important to us, and we're asking, why is this important to me, okay? So someone might say, like me, I might say, I want to comfortably provide for my family, okay? That's great. The next question is, why is, now we insert that previous answer into the why question. Why is providing for my family important to me? Well, I might say I want my children to have great opportunities in life. We continue on. Why is that important to me? I want them to have a better life than I had. Okay, why is that important to me? Well, at this point, we just keep going. And a lot of times you're going to uncover, I might get to things that about my past or my own growing up, or something else that I didn't feel like I had, and whether that's particular money or opportunities, or a connection that I had with my parents, all sorts of things that might be things that I feel like shaped me and my beliefs and values at the time. But we have this opportunity to keep going. And that's what I want you to do here. Go as deep as you can. So I want to give all of you just a few moments here to at least start this, at least start your 5 whys. So I want you to take out a piece of paper, a journal, or a sticky note, I don't care. I want you to at least start your 5 whys. What would you put at the top? We're going to take 60 seconds. I want you to write your key career goal right now, right? What's the one thing you really care about? And answer, why is this important to you? Okay. Now, the whole activity probably only takes 5 or 10 minutes, but I want you to at least get started and then come back to this and finish this perhaps after our session today, but at least give you a little momentum here and progress. Okay, and identify, try and get to that deeper why and intrinsic motivation to drive you towards your goal. So I'm going to just give you about 60 seconds of quiet to contemplate, start doing some journaling or writing this down, and start on your own 5 whys. Identify that goal, try and start asking yourself why. Do a timer here. About 15 more seconds. All right. Very good. Let me get this to be quiet. All right. Hopefully that was a helpful thing to at least get you started on this train of considering this and being a little introspective. And I hope that you will continue forward here. You can go down one line. You can start with multiple goals. Some people will even take this and do like a mind map, and you can have multiple trees that start in one place and branch out, because sometimes there's multiple answers to some of those why questions. So you can go as deep as you want. And that's the invitation, is to see what you can uncover here. Dig in, find those purposes and values, take another 10, 15 minutes, but act on these deeper level pieces of clarity and values as a foundation for the other actions that you take moving forward. That's what we're trying to do here, okay? We're gonna move on to force number 2 though, and this is all about solidifying your personal brand. So we're gonna do another one of these quick chats, and I'm just curious, personal branding can be kind of a nebulous idea and topic for some. Curious what you think. How would you define a personal brand? So do it in just 2 or 3 words, or a brief sentence. How would you define a personal brand? What does that mean to you when you hear that? Type that into the chat, and I'll give you just a few more seconds to do that. And then we'll do a little countdown, just a few seconds. Go ahead in 3, 2, 1, go. What we're known for, impact, value add, what makes you different, what you value most, representation of your best self to others, what makes you different. So all of these are excellent, okay? And I'm not gonna say any of these things are wrong. I just wanna, and so all these are pieces and part of the personal brand. One way that I like to visualize it, and what people say about you, that's great too. One way I like to visualize it is in kind of a Venn diagram of who you are and what people know about you. The personal brand is the intersection, okay? And our job then in building a personal brand is to increase that intersection, because who we are, people can't know those things about us unless we tell them, and tell them clearly and easily. And we could go into all sorts of different things, into ways that we can do that. And we're going to talk about just one specific area. But the reality is that the people who are in your life, who maybe you've worked with really closely, or family and close friends who spend a lot of time with you, they know you well because they spend a lot of time with you. But how do we expect in the career space to expect a recruiter or a hiring manager to know much about us unless we tell them, right? And so this is the challenge and the essence of an online personal brand. How can we tell them the things that are most important to tell them, and especially tell them things that are relevant to what they care about and how we can provide value in an effective, personal way. And so we need to learn how to present ourselves well, especially online. I think one of the best ways that we can do that is on LinkedIn. That's where we're going to focus. It's not the only aspect of personal branding. It's just the piece that we're going to focus on today. Obviously, personal brand affects what you would write in your resume and how you would approach networking conversations. And it flows through into your interviews. It flows through to a lot of different things. It's a really foundational topic for career development, but we're just going to focus on some of the things we can do on LinkedIn for a moment. Okay, because if you're applying for jobs, you need to be using LinkedIn. If you're trying to connect with other people and grow your network, LinkedIn is a great place to do that. And again, this can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be as hard and overwhelming. Sometimes small adjustments can go a long way. And I want to focus specifically on the very top of your LinkedIn profile. Okay, if you do nothing else on LinkedIn, please, please, please update and optimize the top. This is your photos and what's called your headline. By default, your headline is your current job at your current company. Like, hey, I'm a senior engineer at this company. That's kind of the default. But what you want to do is share more keyword-centric things to the types of roles you're looking for, the skills, the technologies, and the ways that you can deliver value. Obviously, you have a limited number of characters here. I forget the exact number, but it's like 150 to 200, somewhere in there. But these words and what you share there are what people see more than anything else. And they also see your photo. So you want your photo. I think Patrick's photo is okay. It's probably, his face isn't quite lighted, but as much as I would normally like, but I think it's good. His background is interesting. It's technology, engineering, computationally focused. So that is what he's trying to communicate of who he is and some of the things that he works on. He also shows that he has a breadth across a lot of different fields here. For him in particular is energy, power, oil, gas, turbines, distribution safety, a lot of different things that he wants to show that these are the types of things he works on. It's going to be very different for you, right? A software engineer might include all the different types of software languages that they might do. For a product manager might be talking about different things there. Mechanical engineers are going to talk about different things. Managers and leaders are going to talk about different things. Doesn't matter. You're trying to find the right keywords that are relevant to you. You can quickly communicate, and that are also relevant to the people you want to find you and you want to connect with, right? This whole process is trying to make an impression. I had a mentor years ago who told me, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, right? And so now rarely is that first impression our job interview. It's often our online personal brand. People are looking at our LinkedIn profile or other places and like, okay, do I like this person? Sometimes you only have a few seconds to make that impression for them to really think that they want to spend more time looking and considering you, right? So we need to make sure we look good and tell them who we are and what we're about in the profile, because this whole process, again, that Venn diagram, you don't want to leave them ignorant, you want to educate them, right? And obviously beyond the top of the LinkedIn profile, there are so many other elements, like we can have the about section. I'm not going to cover it all, right? You can have your work experience section, there's a skills section, all sorts of other stuff. I've got other free resources on LinkedIn. If you want to reach out to me, that's fine. But the results of taking the time to improve your presence on LinkedIn and show forth your personal brand can be quite impressive. I want to talk just one example. Someone I worked with, Nathan, he was a senior software engineer. And at the time, he had a couple of recruiters, maybe a month, that would reach out to him in software. And this is a time where software jobs were just booming, but he was only getting people reach out to him very rarely. Okay. And we worked together and we updated his LinkedIn profile and really showcased who he was and the skills that he had. And by doing only that, without doing anything else thus far, we worked on some other things too, he started getting 5 or more recruiters reaching out to him every week. That's a huge order of magnitude change in terms of how many people were reaching out to him. These were well-known companies that he was interested in, large companies and startups and mid-sized companies all across the board. And he ended up actually getting a job at Nike that he was really excited about. He lived in the Portland area. And these are all because of some simple profile optimization techniques. So I just encourage you to not neglect LinkedIn. A lot of people do, or they only do anything on LinkedIn when they need to find a job. But if that's you, then let's do it now, right? Because if you're willing to put in some work, update and communicate that personal brand, the payoff could be quite large. So highly encourage you to do that. So that's force number 2, is working on your personal brand. Force number 3, I'm going to move along to, is building connections and relationships. Okay, so I'm going to do another quick chat here. And this is especially for those who said they were at kind of level 1, maybe you're unemployed right now. Or even if for any reason you're trying to look for a new career opportunity. Curious, what do you think is the average number of resumes or applications that are submitted for an online job posting? Throw out some numbers. I'll give you just a few seconds to, again, type it in the chat, and then we'll do a countdown in just a moment. Three, two, one, go. So I'm seeing 100 to 500, kind of a range. I've seen people throw out 50, and I've seen people throw out huge numbers like 10,000 when I do this. And all of you, for any particular job role, you could be right. Obviously, it depends on the company and how competitive it is and how many people are interested. But on average, across all job postings, data says that it's about 250 resumes. So if we just look at that average, that means if we think that maybe about 5 people get an interview, so it's about a 2% chance of getting an interview and a less than 0.5% chance of getting a job, if all things are equal, right? So that means if you're playing by the numbers, you have to put in 250 resumes to get one job, right? That's not a game I want to play. And maybe that's the game you want to play. A lot of people love that easy apply button on LinkedIn, but it's not this spray and pray approach is often what I call it, where you simply apply to jobs. I find it rarely works, especially in competitive jobs and job markets. And this is because it's not job boards that hire people, right? In the end, I'm big on the belief that it's people that hire people. Okay. In the end, we need to connect with the people who are there, who are making those decisions, and that we're going to be working with. So that's why building our network and connections is a huge way to find opportunities, and a way we must go to be successful, to find opportunities and continue to grow our careers, even wherever we're at. A little more data. It's hard to know the exact numbers because a lot of these numbers are not publicly available because they perhaps never even made it to a job board. But the estimation is anywhere from 50 to 85% of jobs are filled as a direct result of networking in some way. And maybe it's even more. Like, who knows? It's hard to say, but it's a large number. You can perhaps think about in your experiences, what opportunities have you had simply because you knew someone, right? A lot of times it's a lot, whether career or otherwise. So if you're not networking and connecting with people, building relationships, your chance of being successful are pretty low. But it doesn't have to be. Sometimes we overcomplicate networking too. It doesn't have to be as scary or difficult as we make it. Networking isn't necessarily about more LinkedIn connections or handing out business cards at networking events where we're trying to impress as many people as we can. Networking simply is about building relationships. So you can start by asking yourself, when you're thinking about networking, who do you know right now, right? I guarantee you, all of you know people that have been in the past and could potentially be influential for your career again. And all sorts of different areas, people you've worked with in the past, people you knew from school, people you are neighbors or friends with, if you lived in multiple places, people from church or community organizations, all sorts of different things, right? That probably know you, respect you in different areas of life. Who do you know right now, right? And then the other question to consider is, who do you want to know? Who are the types of people who are in places, in companies, in opportunities that you're curious about, you want to learn more about, you would love to perhaps get an opportunity in? How can you identify those people and find ways to connect with them, right? So I'm going to encourage you, for these people that you already know, and also for people that you want to know, to set up what's called informational interviews. Okay, they're trying to. These are conversations with others who you're trying to learn more about them. This is not you trying to say, "Hey, how can you help me get a job?" Right? This is you trying to connect with and learn more about them, where they're at, what they're doing, and what they're trying to accomplish. But on the other side, if they're willing to have that conversation with you, then they're almost always going to be willing to help you in some way, whether that's if they know of an opportunity, they can connect you with someone in their company or another company, doesn't matter. But here's the thing, excuse me, sad truth is that there's so many people that I've talked to that have never in their whole lives conducted an informational interview. Okay, and this is a shame because informational interviews can be an extremely powerful way to expand network and build relationships. So if that's you, if anyone's unfamiliar with these, it was simply a process where we're interviewing someone else, not like a job interview, but we're just asking them, getting curious, asking them great questions about their experience in their job or industry. And you're just connecting with them, learning about them, you're getting really curious. It can start, or you can organize or block out maybe 15, 20 minutes. Ideally, we would love to do this in person. That's not always possible or convenient. So we can do this virtually via some video chat platform or on a phone call, whatever people are willing to do, right? But we're just trying to have these conversations, and it's more personal. We talked about LinkedIn earlier, but what this can do is take this communication and the relationship beyond email and LinkedIn, just text communication, to really starting to have a conversation, build a relationship. And sometimes this can turn into long-term mentoring. Sometimes this can turn into a referral into a company, all sorts of ways. And it's not always going to, but sometimes it can. And you just never know who is going to be that person. Because the reality is a very small portion of people that you meet in your life are the ones that are going to make the biggest difference in your career growth. But you don't know who that is unless you build more relationships. We want to focus on finding those people. Who are they? Building those relationships and network our way to opportunities. So that's the principle. I hope that all of you will take some action to say, who can I have a conversation with in the next week? Identify a list of 5 or 10 people at least to try and reach out to. Who can you have lunch with, go have a drink with, or get on the phone call. If it's someone you know personally, send them a text. I don't care. Just do something to try and have some conversations, because so often people are like, oh, if only they would give me an opportunity and I could talk to someone and get an interview, like they'd see who I am. Well, instead of just applying, doing the spray and pray method and hoping they call you back to have a conversation, why don't we take the extra step and try and have conversations first, right? So that's the idea. All right. Force number 4, be the solution to a problem This is kind of a shift in how we approach ourselves. It's very connected with personal branding, but we're going to talk about it specifically when it comes to interviews, because this is a critical time to do this. So I'm curious to ask this question on the quick chat. For interview, pretty much all of you, I imagine, have been in some job interviews in the past. What do you think is the hardest job interview question to answer? Right? So type that in the chat, and I'll do a countdown in just a moment and take a drink so I don't cough into my microphone again. What do you think is that hardest job interview question to answer? And obviously, we're personalizing this to you. What do you think is most difficult? So type that in the chat. We'll go 3, 2, 1, go. Tell me about yourself. Compensation you expect. What's your weakness? That's a difficult one for a lot of people. Tell me about yourself seems to be the most popular, and I hear that from a lot of people. Why are you interested in applying here? Yeah, interesting. Okay. So, but really the majority, if not all of these, are connected to you talking about you, and that's difficult, right? So we talked earlier about kind of the personal brand and then networking, but then we get to the interview, which usually that's what's going to lead us to get more interviews. Then it's up to you. Like, you need to be able to kind of showcase yourself in a positive way. You need to shine, be the clear winner. But one key to do that is to get outside of yourself, and instead of thinking about interviews like all about you really being self-focused, is to you personally focus on the company. Recognize that the company has a problem that they need to solve, right? And how can you be the solution to that problem, right? And present yourself in a way that shows that you can help them, right? So instead of a lot of people have a hard time in interviews where they're like, you know, I hate because it feels like I'm selling myself and I don't like to be salesy and all that fun stuff, right? Well, instead of focusing on you selling yourself, you're trying to really seek to understand them. And how can you help them? It gets you thinking not about yourself so much, right? Now, certainly you still have to talk about yourself and your experiences, and we could get into all sorts of strategies around that. But I wanted to really drive this principle home. These are a few examples of potential problems that a company may have for you to kind of consider. They may lack capacity, right? They're trying to grow. They need to get more work done. They need to meet growth targets. They may have a gap in skills that they're looking for someone who could help them with. They need someone with specific industry experience and knowledge that can bring insights that they don't have right now, right? Maybe there's others. These are just a few, but your goal here is to figure that out. And a job description helps. Any conversations you have with the people you're interviewing with and recruiters and all that stuff, you're trying to ask these great questions, okay? So what is the problem that they have? And can you solve that problem? Maybe you don't have all the answers right away, but can you show that you can be that person who can at least grow to be able to solve that problem, right? And so at this point, hopefully, if we've done some networking, we have a company insider too that we've talked to that maybe we've networked with and can ask some of these questions to get some more insights here. But then we need to be able to go into the interview and tell your story of how you've perhaps solved similar problems or shown the skills necessary that are relevant to the problem that they have, okay? So the answers that you share when they ask questions of you need to show how you've solved some similar problems. So you want to structure your stories in a way that shows what you can do and the results that you deliver. This is something that a lot of people miss out on when they're in interviews, is they focus on all the things I did. Okay, I tell the story, here's all the things I did. But then if I'm doing a mock interview or when I've been an interviewer in the past, and I'm like, okay, now what? Like, what did that mean? Why did that matter? What are the results? Tell me what that meant in the end, okay? And what this does, if you can do this well, it starts to get them imagining you solving these problems for them, which is a good thing, right? And if they can start to visualize you, then good things are going to happen. So, but you need to start with it. Instead of just focusing on yourself, caring about them, what they're trying to accomplish, tell your story to solve their problem and to present yourself as a solution that they need. And I promise you, if you can do this effectively in your job interviews, you're bound to get some job offers, okay? There's just one principle, only one piece of the interview process, but I think it's important and something a lot of people miss. Force number 5 is find a mentor. Okay. This process of going through unemployment to finding something new, or if you're trying to make a career transition of some sort, it's emotionally draining. It's hard. Having a guide, a coach, or mentor can help pick you up when you're down and see things that you can't see. And I'm just a believer that nothing in life should be done completely alone. We need trusted people on our team in our lives to be successful. And that can be family, friends, but also experts in particular areas. And job searching and career transitions is no different. So just want to give you some guidelines and things to think about if you're considering a mentor or coach that might be able to help you. Make sure that they have, successfully helped others navigate through challenges that are similar to yours, have some personal experience perhaps in industry or the related industries that you're in. Ideally have contacts that can help you get some insider information and connect you with people who can be helpful. And also are willing to give you the resources, time, and attention you need to make sure that you're not getting stuck along the way. On the flip side, what you're not looking for in a mentor or coach is someone who's got no experience to back up any results they're talking about, have little to no experience in your chosen industry or field, have a network that's less influential than your own, or simply just going to give you ideas and no help to actually help you implement it, right? Remember our story, the Cheshire Cat, not that great of a coach or mentor here. Ideally, the mentors that we're working with can help us gain that clarity, consider, okay, where are you trying to go? Instead of just like, yeah, the road will get you there, it's fine. But how can you find someone who's going to help you move through that process in a positive way? You don't want to work alone because otherwise you might be stuck in the forest longer than you need to be, right? So quick overview here of these 5 forces. Talked about getting clarity so you can focus on where you're headed, solidifying that personal brand so you can communicate who you are in a way that others can see that and understand and connect with. You want to build connections and relationships through strategic networking. You want to prime yourself and think about others to be that solution to a problem and find a mentor who can help you through this. And I promise you that if you're going to utilize these forces, things will accelerate for you, okay? So when we started, I gave you a promise. And I'm just curious, my promise was that I would give you some clear adjustments and actions that you could take to get hired fast and make this transition. I'm curious from your perspective, did I keep my promise? Please let me know. I want to always be improving my approach to this. Yes or no, type it in the chat. I'm curious here what you think if I did or did not keep my promise. I really want to know. But whether or not you feel like I did or didn't, and the answer is yes, you will get a recording for this. I'll be sending that out later. Are you all good from here? I tried to give you kind of as much as I could during our time. The answer might be kind of a yes and no, right? Like we could simplify all sorts of things like Warren Buffett, who's one of the richest people in the world, right? Could explain investing in one simple sentence: buy low, sell high, and only invest in things you understand, right? I can understand that quite easily, but I'm not a multi-billionaire like Warren Buffett is for some reason, or at least not yet, right? But it's the details of how we do these things that make all the difference. So for us in career development, people who succeed are the ones who are committed, and really everything. We succeed when we're committed to finding the answers and taking the right actions, even when things are kind of looking down, not looking great. And even if you have to pay for it, that's what Lewis did and why he was able to get some of the results he did. So there may be some more things that you still have to figure out even after our time together. These are just a few, right? Like, so what direction do you want to take in your career? How do you showcase your personal brand, right? How do you craft that great LinkedIn or resume? How do you get recruiters and hiring managers to talk to you? How do you get more opportunities for interviews? How do you negotiate your offer? Where can you find that mentoring or support that you need? And probably just everything else that you don't know yet, right? Because so the invitation is to get some help, because you can certainly figure this all out by yourself, or I would love to help, right? And so and I can show you kind of the entire system that's helped a lot of engineers and technology professionals like you to get some life-changing career upgrades. In fact, I recently ran the numbers of all the people I've worked with and found that people who work with me in my programs got new job opportunities about 40% faster than average And many of them increase compensation by 20 to sometimes even doubling their compensation, 100%. Had a number of those. So, but also extremely important, all aligned with that intentional, their clear career goals, kind of the foundation, like where do they want to go, much more aligned with where they want to go instead of just being completely opportunistic or just obligatory, right? Like we talked about earlier. So if you give me just a few minutes, I'm going to talk about the program for an opportunity to work with me, and then we'll have some time for Q&A, and I'll spend any time that I need to answer any questions that you have about the program or anything that we talked about today. So the program I've got is called the Engineering Career Accelerator. And it starts with, there's kind of 3 pillars to the program. And the first is there's an online set of materials that you get access to that you can work with on your own time. And there's 7 core modules in there. And a lot of the things we're going to talk about there, or we're in there. We didn't talk a lot about mindset, but mindset is a huge factor to how we move through these challenges. So we want to solidify our mindset at the very beginning and increase awareness of how that impacts our career success. We're going to work on diving deep into getting career clarity and unleashing that to build a personal brand. How do we optimize our approach on LinkedIn to communicate that personal brand, make it easy to update and increase your connections fast? We're going to talk about how you can rock your resume, make it something that really stands out and showcases who you are and the skills you have, and also customize that appropriately so that you can showcase different things for different companies and what they're looking for appropriately. We're going to talk about how you can network like a pro, right? To not just focus on job boards and applying, but how do we focus on companies and the people and have those conversations and do that effectively. I want to talk about interview skills, how you can build that confidence and body language and be fully prepared and tell that story effectively, be that solution to the problem like we talked about today. And negotiations is something that a lot of people don't spend a lot of time on. Certainly not something that frequently gets, if ever, gets taught in engineering school, but it's a critical piece to be able to, because it can actually cost you millions over the course of your career if you're not negotiating well. So I highly, highly suggest you invest some time into learning negotiation tactics and strategies to improve your results. So all of this training just on its own could take you far, but I want to give you more. So kind of the second core pillar of the program is a group or community element. So you're not just all alone on your career journey, that I want to surround you with others who are also moving through similar things and are willing to support you along the way. So all the people that I'm working with, we have a weekly career session, a career mastermind session. These are typically on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific or 7 p.m. Eastern time. The goal here is to make sure that everyone can be accountable, keep making progress. We have hot seat sessions where everyone, where we'll dive on one person, what they're trying to accomplish. Everyone there is trying to support each other. And I've been doing these for over 2 years now. And so I've got archives of all of these that you can watch recordings and you can look at topics and things that you might be interesting to you, okay? So always record them if you miss them live. And we also have an online community where you can connect with people and ask questions there as well as part of that process. So far, we've got all these modules. There's a bunch of PDF guides and templates and activities, the weekly mastermind, the 2 years of archives, and the online community. And I put an asterisk next to unlimited email support, because if you're sending me, and this is me personally, but if you're sending me 10 emails a day, that's a little too much. Okay, so a little asterisk there, but I always want to be available to help you along the way. And so the third pillar is that personalized coaching with me, as most people will get that. We do live coaching, you get that email support. We can do documentation reviews, we can do mock interviews, all sorts of things, whatever you need. I want to dive into personalizing what you need and how I can help you identify what are the right actions and steps you need to take to move through this. People I've worked with have gotten great jobs at, companies large and small, from people that you're familiar with to startups and everything in between. These are just a few, right? But I've helped all sorts of people. Plus, there's a bunch of other bonuses, something I call the Hiring Insiders Vault. I interviewed some hiring managers and HR managers and recruiters to get kind of the inside take on how this process looks like from the inside, right? Also, I want to give you access to my network. I've got a large LinkedIn network. If there's anyone that I can connect you with, I want to help you do that to give you every chance of success to reach your goals. it's really important to me. So no matter what, wherever you're at on this kind of career ladder, this is a different kind of ladder than, climbing the corporate ladder, but in terms of how we might measure this, wherever you're at right now, I want to help you move up. If you're a number one, I wanted to get you to a minimum of 3. Ideally, all of you, I want to be pointing you towards 4 and 5 in the short and the long term in the way that we move through this process, okay? But you have a choice. Obviously, we did a little bit of physics earlier with the force equals mass times acceleration, but another one of Newton's laws is that an object at rest will stay at rest unless it's acted upon by an outside force. So if for some reason you are feeling at rest in your career, if you're out of a job or feeling stuck in something that you hate, have limited opportunities to progress, or just know that you need to make a change, but don't know how to do it, you can certainly stay at rest, or you can get an outside force like the Engineering Career Accelerator Program to help you accelerate your career now. So here's what I invite you to do next. If I haven't talked with some of you, I invite you to schedule a call. You can go to morethaneng.com/schedule-call to set up a time to talk with me. And we're going to look through and discuss your unique challenges and goals and design the right program and fit if we identify that that's right. And just as a reminder, you get all these things when you join the program, the online modules, PDF guides, group coaching, one-on-one coaching, plus some of those bonuses we talked about. And all with the goal to help you move up that career ladder, upgrading, doing this faster, increasing wages, but all aligned with your career foundation, things that are important to you. So at this point, we're going to go to some Q&A. You've watched this time, you want to transform your career and probably know that this is something that might help you with reaching your goal. So I invite you, if you're interested, to take advantage of this and all the content bonuses and the one-on-one support I can give you to do what works and what doesn't. Get the training and support that you need, even if it's not from me, but don't just try and do this alone, and persevere, keep moving forward to what you want to become and the things that are important to you. So with that Q&A, here's a QR code if that's helpful for you to schedule a call with me, or I'll throw the link in the chat as well in just a moment. But I'm happy to be here for some Q&A to answer any questions, provide insights that I can for anything about the program or any of the principles that we talked about today. So who's got a question, you can throw it in the chat or just unmute and ask it right away. Okay, maybe something came in the chat.
Yeah, I have a question. So
yeah, right there.
So I think the way that you might approach helping someone is going to vary depending on how far along they are in their career. And so
Absolutely.
I think someone who maybe has at least a few years of experience would have the work experience and skills that they and you could help them leverage that with the way that they conduct themselves. But what I'm wondering is, for someone who only has a few months of experience, or someone who just graduated, who doesn't have that experience yet, I'm wondering how can you help someone who maybe doesn't have that leverage if they maybe don't have as much that they can work with, if that makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so absolutely. And so that's kind of the personalized nature of the program we try and dial in. I've worked with people who are straight out of college and even like some of those boot camps and stuff that maybe not even have a full degree, all the way through to like director, VP level leaders and stuff. And so certainly those people who are early in your career, like no matter what, you got to start with what you got, right? And there's no way to get around. I said this earlier, I can't infuse anyone with experience or skills that we wish you had. And so, but we need to work with what you have. And it's that much more important to do things differently, because in a competitive market where, with some of the layoffs and everything that are happening, some of those early career folks might be attempting to kind of be seen against some of the more experienced people, and companies might have a little more leverage there. It's that much more important to do things differently and show that you can be that solution. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have this perfect example where you've built this system because you're early in your career, right? But which means you need to be that much more precise and focused with the actions that you do take, so you don't get lost in the fray. And so we would still take a really a large focus on kind of the networking strategy piece, because if people can connect and see you and the potential that you have and some of the things that you have done, whether in school or early career experiences and things like that, and how that applies to what they're looking for, that can go a big way, even if you may not have as many years of experience or other things like that. So yeah, we're going to focus on that a little bit more. And the networking approach and how we're connecting with people is going to be a little bit different than someone who's later in their careers. It's still extremely important. It just might be in a different way. So we're trying to ebb and flow depending on where we're at and what we're working with. But no matter what, you got to start with where you're at. And that's just kind of the reality is we're not trying to go forwards or backwards. We're just saying, where are we at right now? How do we optimize to given the situation? Is that helpful?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tyler. Any other thoughts or questions here?
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for that. You've given us some resources to work on why, and been really clear about the how. Do you have any suggestions for resources to figure out what to do once you know why you're looking? So, yeah, is it time to move into consulting or public sector or private sector, that sort of thing?
Yeah, there are some resources and ways, and here's what I won't say is that I won't say if you're working with me and looking for me to give you the answer that's perfect for you. I don't have the answer, right? Because all these things are really personal, right? And so am I the person who needs to make that decision for you of whether to go into this industry or that type of role or whatever? Like, no, in the end, you recognize that we are the ones that need to make the decisions about our careers, right? However, there are ways to kind of identify that, like there's one other principle that I'll talk about here for a second. We dive into what some people call the genius zones that we have, areas of expertise, so that we can dive into how do we, and this is connected with personal branding, but also connected to where we do our best work and where we also find the fulfillment and happiness, and so how can we identify how we can get into organizations or environments that optimize for that, where we can do great work and enjoy ourselves in meaningful ways, and what does that look like, right? And so then you can kind of move from that to what sorts of types of roles and work might align with that in an interesting way, both now and in the future. So that's just one example, but there are other resources around career clarity to kind of dive into what types of places might be the right fit for us.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Alicia. Thanks for being here. All right, what other questions? How can I help? Okay, and for all of you, so I want to thank all of you who are here. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to decide to do this right now, especially because there's a lot of layoffs and other things. For any of you who are here, like you're curious about this, and maybe you're thinking if this might be the right fit for you. Anyone who has talked to me, some of you I've talked to about this, and you're kind of still trying to make decisions. If you make the decision today, because we've talked before, you attended today, make the decision today and decide to sign up, send me a quick email, and I'll give you a coupon code for $500 off one of our sessions or the program that we would go. For any one of you who books a call, you don't need to have the call today, but if you book a call today and we talk in the next few days and we decide to work together, I'll give you that same discount. I still want to talk to you to make sure this feels like a fit, but I'm willing to, for any of you who are here live, to give you that discount to help you kind of move forward if you feel like that's the right fit. And love to help you move along in your career progression. And hopefully that it's a helpful thing to take off a little bit of the stress there. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I really hope this is helpful. Again, I'll be sending out the recording here But please reach out if we haven't had a conversation. Let's have a conversation here. Schedule a time with me. Let's see if I can help you accelerate your progress and reach some of your goals. Thanks so much for being here, and hope you all have a great rest of your day and week. And we'll talk soon.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.